Lots to talk about tonight. We missed last week, holiday weekend, and just wanted to just chill. Egg toy, little boy, Pretzel Boy, wax night.
I said you'll have fun, and I won't disappoint you.
Welcome, fellow Kiss fans. Welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. Apologies for last week. It was the 4th of July weekend, and Saturday night kind of turned into an 80s movie night. We watched Urban Cowboy. I've never seen that movie. First time in my life watching Urban Cowboy, but now I understand why Lone Star beer is so famous. I do enjoy Lone Star beer. And that was a good movie. Very good movie. Basically, Saturday Night Fever in cowboy disguise, but good movie. And dear Lord, the lady who played Pam. My goodness. If Pam's in your life, don't worry about Sissy. You stay with Pam. She was gorgeous. And on that, let's hot face. Someone sent me this confidential and extreme close-up on DVD. Showed up in my P.O. box. No return address, no note inside. I don't know who this came from, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is the English version, I believe. I believe that 15 is like the parental guidance rating system for English physical media. And I have never owned this on DVD. I have always owned this on VHS. I love Extreme Close-Up, probably my favorite Kiss documentary ever. But I like it more than Exposed, I'm not sure. I'm gonna say yes, right now. Heaters, probably. HOTFACE. But I love Confidential because my Paul Stanley airbrush shirt is featured in Confidential, and it always sucked if I ever wanted to watch that clip to have to put in a VHS, find a VCR, be scared that your VHS tape may be eaten. And I've always wanted this on DVD. And now I can watch Paul Stanley talk about my airbrush shirt I gave him on November 10th, 1992 on disc.
I got this really cool shirt. I looked out in the audience one night and I saw this guy with my face as big as this shirt in makeup. And I wore it for I don't know how many shows. I mean, it was one of my favorite shirts. I like getting that kind of stuff out of the audience, so it was just very cool.
I'm going to be completely honest. I am so glad he didn't call me a kid. He just said guy. Or he could have said girl. That would have been even worse. But he said guy, and I appreciate that. And a lot of people send me a photo of Paul holding an airbrush shirt in the warehouse. This photo, that is not the shirt featured on Confidential. And the easiest way to know the shirt featured on Confidential is the highlights in the eyeball. There are 3 dots right there. So if you ever watch Confidential, look at those 3 highlights in the eyeball. This shirt was more cartoony than the one featured in the warehouse, and of course he cut off the sleeves. But now I can show you the Rick Howard Paul Stanley airbrush shirt, Kiss Confidential corner of the Wax Night basement. Unfortunately, I do not know who made this shirt. I bought this shirt at a tribute show that Danny and I learned about from this Bonsai magazine, July 1992. And it was this show, a band called Kissed. And they were playing 2 shows, one all ages, July 21st, and 21 and over on July 22nd. I was not 21 yet, so we went to the July 21st show, and there was a person there, Kiss fan obviously, selling airbrush shirts of each member. He did not have Gene, but Danny already owned a Gene Simmons airbrush shirt. He had Paul, Peter, and Ace. I bought Paul. November 10th, gave the shirt to Paul Stanley. And then later, it appeared on Confidential. I have a lot of other stuff where he wore this shirt because he wore it in 1994 on tour in Argentina. It's pretty fun. So there's double platinum wall, and it goes back to the dog bedroom back in the back where large Marge and Pee-wee lived and slept every night. Well, they lived in the house, but they slept in this room every night. And this is the sort of non-makeup wing of the house. And I believe previously we have discussed the Hot in the Shade wall. Did we? I think we did. Yeah, we did. When we covered kind of my origin shelf. This is the revenge wall. This is all about Paul Stanley, all about my airbrush shirt. And these posters came from a poster magazine that was sold, I want to say probably in Argentina, because I had to buy a money order to purchase the magazine. And because it was from a different country, I didn't correlate the currency right, and they sent me a letter back saying they needed more money, so I had to get another money order. Finally, the poster magazine arrived, and these are the posters. There's Paul on tour. I believe these shots are from America. Later, when he's playing the Iceman, that's from Argentina. As we mentioned earlier, those 3 dots of the highlight in the eye, you can see right there. The 3 dots. The 3 dots. And it was given to Paul on the Revenge Show, Tuesday, November 10th at St. Joseph Civic Arena. Paul was sick that night. Setlist was cut short. Gene sang some Paul songs, Heaven's on Fire being one of them. Horrible show. Bruce Kulick even says in the Alive Forever book that that show was horrible. They should have canceled. Glad they didn't. Danny and I had a front row, but then got pushed back to the second row seat to see our favorite band, and Danny gave his airbrush shirt to Gene, I gave mine to Paul, and Rock and Roll Dreams were born. This is the other poster. Silly me, naive days, taped the picture of me wearing the shirt to the wall right there, and then there's a faraway picture of my sister and I, and me wearing that shirt. I wore that shirt all summer long, everywhere I went. Always got comments on it. Because, I mean, it's a cool-ass shirt. Even if, you know, back then, 1992, it felt like a club to be a Kiss fan, and I was very proud to be in that club. And when I did my Freedom to Rock meet and greet, I met Paul, and I had him sign this poster with those photos taped to the poster. Those photos have been taped to this poster since high school, since 1993. And I had Paul sign it, and I said, you know, explain the story. I gave you this shirt, St. Joseph Civic Arena, November 10th, 1992. You were sick that night. And he said, thank you very much. It was one of my favorite shirts. I totally remember that night. I don't know if he was just being nice or he really remembered, but warmed my heart to have that conversation with him, and he signed the poster right there. Love that. I want to say he remembers it because Gene remembers it. Danny mentioned himself giving Gene his shirt, and without hesitation, Gene said, oh yeah, I remember that night Paul was sick. So Gene remembers getting his shirt from Danny. Hopefully Paul remembers getting his shirt from me. And if this ever goes up on sale on auction, this kid is a bidding. There's that wall, and then on the corner here we have all of the magazines from Argentina where Paul wore the shirt, and photos taken at those Argentina shows. This is Rock Pop, featuring Paul wearing the shirt. Mirrored Iceman, I believe that is the actual Dynasty Iceman. So that's pretty cool. This Confidential fanzine, Paul wearing the shirt on the cover, and the Confidential promo flat behind it. I didn't have black paper, and I thought this promo flat will be kind of cool because he wore the shirt in Confidential. A photo of Paul wearing the shirt that someone took at a show, and then the last is a rock box magazine from Argentina. Paul wearing the shirt. Little section devoted to Confidential, my shirt, and the man himself, Paul Stanley. And again, thank you very much to whoever sent this DVD. I am going to watch both of these over the weekend and just have a really good 18-year-old Rick weekend. And I couldn't have done it without you sending this. So thank you very much. Leave your hot face below. Now let's wax. Tonight I want to discuss a chapter from Wax Night 2, available on Amazon. The Magical Shift of Christmas 1979. And this chapter is all about that childhood shift that took place in 1979. Let's take 1976. You have teenage kids, 1976, possibly in 8th grade going in to high school. Mitch Kramer from Dazed and Confused.
Oh yeah, just graduated.
Your ass will be purple before the day is done. Mitch Kramer goes into high school, fall 1976, full-fledged Kiss fan. Loves it. Love Gun comes out, Alive 2 comes out. Man, he's riding high. Let's say Mitch Kramer has a younger sister who's in elementary school, likes collecting Barbies, not really into Kiss. Everything changes October 28th, 1978, when Phantom of the Park airs on television. Mitch Kramer suddenly feels, this isn't for me anymore. But his little sister says, I love this. And this is not meant to be sexist in any way towards one gender or another, but you ask any adult female Kiss fan who was a fan in the 70s who their favorite member was, 9 times out of 10 they're going to say Peter Criss. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the cat persona. I don't know if it was the makeup with the cute whiskers. Something attracted little girls in the 70s to Peter Criss, and they grew up, if they continued to be Kiss fans, to be Peter Criss fans. And that is what we are talking about tonight. That childhood love of one member, love of a larger-than-life rock and roll band, and memories that are cemented in these kids' mind and stick with them as favorite childhood memories. I feel that Peter Criss love when I think of the Peter Criss solo necklace available in the merch form. Beware of anything with 4 legs that doesn't purr. I wonder how many of these necklaces found their way into little girls' stockings at Christmas time, 1979. I also think about it a lot too when I look at this Italian Prism sticker from 1980, Peter Criss in yellow. And the fact that it is in yellow, I love it even more. But it just has that magic of a kid, young girl, or young boy getting this sticker and placing it on their notebook or their dresser or their bedroom wall because they love Peter Criss. And it's just, again, that childhood magic. And all of this childlike Kiss fandom waxing has led me down a rabbit hole, which we won't talk about tonight, but I will show the first piece of the rabbit hole. This will be a fun one to talk about. Is the Groupie Rock Special magazines featuring each member celebrated in their own issue. And the first one I bought was Peter Criss, 1979 magazine, and I felt like a little girl, 1979, who loves Peter Criss and picked up this magazine. The most fun thing is the magazine makes a poster on the back cover when you're done. So, encouraging all these kids to dig into their mom's purse and buy me all 4, because I need each member. This is going to be a fun discussion. We will talk about this when the rabbit hole is complete. But this led me to think about those kids who still loved Kiss in 1979. The older kids have kind of moved on. The younger kids are driving the Kiss Army, and how much fun it was to get these magazines at TG&Y, at the grocery store, to spend summer days with magazines like this, because these magazines in 1979, you have to admit, these magazines became more child-centered. They were written for kids because that was the audience. And that's why in Extreme Close-Up, Paul Stanley kind of disses on Dynasty and disses on the Dynasty tour because it had become families. But that is what I love. There's something about, I can kind of relate it to my own life. I was 6 years old when Empire Strikes Back came out, and I remember getting a Hoth playset for Christmas, and I could go out in the snow and play with that Hoth playset. When I think of friends that I have talking about their childhood loving Kiss in the 70s, and I hear them get all kind of emotional and nostalgic about Kiss and Gene Simmons, I can relate to that feeling because I know what it felt like to be in love with Darth Vader. He's evil, he's scary, he's cool as hell. And that's what kids felt about Gene Simmons. And that's what kids felt about Peter Criss. And that's what kids felt about Kiss in 1979, 1980. And I thought tonight we would take a look at some of the coolest 1979 magazines. We're going to leave this one out because this will be a full hot face. But I thought we would take a look at some of the 1979 magazines I have and maybe put them in a 1 to 5, 1 being the best list of 1979 childhood magical magazine fun of being a Kiss fan. So I've picked 5 magazines from 1979 to kind of just talk about that magical magazine childhood fun the kids would have had in the summer of 1979 or Christmas 1979. Getting these magazines at a bookstore, TG&Y, grocery store, and then having fun summer vacation days, fun Christmas vacation days, December 1979, enjoying these magazines and really relishing in their childhood and their fun, and having those memories carry with them into adult life. So these are the 5 magazines we're going to talk about and kind of just rank them 5 to 1 on a scale of not the best magazine, but a scale of childhood fun. And the first one we're going with at number 5, and number 5 doesn't mean it's a bad magazine. It's just the functionality of this magazine, and not this magazine in particular. This magazine came from our buddy Alan in England. Thank you once again. I'm talking 16 magazines as a whole with Kiss on the cover. These are coming in at number 5 because 16 magazine wasn't Kiss centered. It also featured other celebrities, other artists, Andy Gibb, Leif Garrett, John Schneider, Cheap Trick. Your Kiss fun in a magazine like this is hit or miss. So coming in at number 5, not this magazine in particular, but 1979 16 magazines with Kiss on the cover. It's number 5 because it's hit or miss. It's a pop culture magazine. It's not necessarily a full-on Kiss magazine. Now coming in at number 4 is the poster book, and the only reason I'm choosing this is because the posters are amazing, but once the posters are out, the magazine is kind of lackluster. Don't get me wrong, these posters are amazing. There aren't really 8 giant fold-out posters, there are 4, but the back are black and white photos. Without the posters, the magazine, I say and then I open it up, and it is kind of cool. You know, sometimes you forget to look at these, and now, oh gosh, now I'm thinking maybe this should go above 4. I don't know. I'm gonna keep it at 4. Gosh dang, that's a cool photo. I love that logo. Anytime I see that logo, man, my heart melts. In those lights, in that 70s design that they used through Animalize. Gosh dang, it was the funnest, most fun logo ever in rock and roll. And why they didn't use that on the reunion tour is beyond me. Yeah, okay, we're gonna say there's a lot of ads. I mean, how cool is that, right? Like a merchandise ad from an album. But we're gonna say, yeah, we're gonna say number 4. Because without the posters, I mean, a kid would buy this magazine for the posters. I used to have these posters hung up in the old Wax Night basement. We just don't have room for them now. Plus we have the superhero poster from the Unmasked merch form and the Kiss 80 poster, so I didn't want too much of the Dynasty outfits. So number 4, the poster book. And I just had a moment like I did with number 4 because I haven't looked at these magazines in a while, and when you look at them, they shoot up in the list. Originally this was going to be number 3 and this was going to be number 2, but I think we're going to do vice versa. And this is going to be number 3 on our list, the TV superstar Kiss Crazy from April 1979. A little fact about It's All For You Demon. I do not like 1979 magazines that have a 1975 picture on the cover. If it's a 1979 magazine, I want a current era photo on the cover. That's just personal preference. Bugs me. I don't like it. That doesn't decrease the coolness of this magazine, because this magazine is super freaking cool. Lots of great photos in here. Lots of cool stuff. Oh my gosh, my mom would have burnt this magazine alive had I gotten this in 1979. Lots of fun stuff. A lot of black and white, which kind of adds to it being down on the list. A lot of black and white, but they are cool photos nonetheless. Phantom of the Park, you can't go wrong there. But one reason I love this magazine so much, and this is the only reason it was really going to go up in the ranking, was it has a Kiss Meets the Phantom hide a word puzzle. That is magical. That is fun. That is the magical magazine fun of being a Kiss fan. Back then, Kiss Speaks, Kiss Quiz, lots of Kiss fun. But then also, another reason this goes down is you have Robin Williams, you have Steve Martin, you have John Belushi, you have the Coneheads. You know, it's not all Kiss. It's a lot of Kiss, but it's not all Kiss. And so, jacket ad, radio ad, those are fun. We're going to say number 3, Kiss Crazy from April 79. Number 2, one of the coolest magazines to exist from 1979. One of the coolest Kiss magazines to exist in the history of Kiss magazines is the Best of Kiss magazine from Platinum. And man, this thing is just a beauty. Lots of cool color photos, lots of cool black and white photos. The pages feel extremely cool. Gosh dang, look at that. That is childhood fun. Look at those photos. My goodness. You buy this in 1979, you are on your stomach on the living room floor for a very long time, just flipping through this magazine, staring at it, reading every word. Cool centerfold and cool fold out poster. I almost want to cheat and say I have the Empire State Building poster now, but I don't. That's not about well. Gosh dang, this thing's a beauty, and this is a very cool magazine. I forgot how cool this was. This kind of ranks up there with the Phantom magazine. Coming in at number 2, the Best of Kiss. And number 1, simply in my eyes, because I mentioned earlier, like my childhood love of Darth Vader. I think of Ben Franklin's store, I think of TG&Y, I think of Woolworths. This magazine, the Kiss Mania magazine from TV Superstar, is all of that wrapped into one that I feel a little kid in 1979 would have had so much fun with. This thing, in fact, this magazine just strictly reminds me of Woolworths. It reminds me of going to Woolworths with my friend Robin Dyson, getting Dukes of Hazzard magazines, having a shake in the Woolworths cafeteria. This thing is just childhood fun, packed. You could win a date with Paul, packed to the brim of childhood fun, playing post office with Gene Simmons. How Ace's love will hurl you into orbit. This is just childhood. This is little girl childhood fun. You can be the special girl of Gene, Paul, Ace, or Peter. And most of those girls, per Wax Night 2, would have wanted Peter, because that's how we roll here in the Wax Night basement. It is all about that childhood magical fun of being a Kiss fan, and this magazine oozes that. Kiss Mania from TV Superstar, the number 1 magical magazine childhood fun of being a Kiss fan. Thank you for hanging with us tonight and waxing a little rock and roll nostalgia with us here in the Wax Night Basement. Pretzel Boy, you want to watch Extreme Close Up tonight? You want to watch Kiss Confidential tonight? And be good to your babies. Spay, neuter, microchip. Take care. Be safe. We will talk to you soon.